All right, guys. Well, it's time for the interview section of this episode's podcast. And today I have a special guest, Rose Dye. Rose has a background in Krav Maga, boxing, and gymnastics. She's been in the fitness industry for 25 years, coaching and managing facilities in New York, New Jersey, and North Carolina. She's NASM certified, Precision Nutrition Level 1 coach, Spartan SGX coach, and DECA coach with specialties in senior fitness and obesity. She's had awesome success with racing, earning quite a few podium spots. And most recently, she's going to be an instructor at the Johnson Community College starting fall of 2021. So, Rose, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great.
Awesome. Well, congrats on the teaching position. I teach at a community college as well, and I think it's awesome. So that's going to be a fun opportunity for you.
I'm super excited about it because I think one of my long-term goals has always been like I love training and I love working with people. But my thought is if I can help a next generation have that same passion and fire for helping people, then how many more people can be affected? I can only help X amount of people, but if I help people to help people, then that's like exponential.
Absolutely. And it's so cool because thinking back how I started, we didn't know a fraction of what we know now. And, those that are getting into it now even if they're willing to work, have such a huge head start. So it's cool to be able to contribute to that.
Yeah. And I'm
Awesome.
older than you, so that back when I was in school, they didn't even have this as an option.
True. Well, I'm really excited to have you on here, and I'd love to get your insight on a few different topics. But I'd love to hear just really how you got into this crazy sport of obstacle course racing, and what kind of led you down that path.
It actually goes back to a good friend of mine, Daryl. We were working in the same gym together, and he was doing this crazy style training, tire flipping. This is back in 2010, and he was doing an obstacle race. It was a tough mudder actually at the time, and he's like, you should come and do it with us. You'd really like it. So I was like, I don't know, what is this all about? I was like, okay, fine. So I went with a group of people. We had a blast. Of course, I wore all the wrong gear. I knew nothing about gear at that time. So I had like my regular, you know, thick sneakers on. I had a cotton shirt, sprained my ankle, got carried across the finish line by two friends. Woke up sore as heck the next day. And I said, yes, I want to do this again. And then I found Spartan the following year. And that's back when they used to have the gladiators at the end.
Yeah.
And I got a couple of people together and I was like, let's do this. I got to be able to finish better than last time. And it was so challenging and so much fun that I was like, I got to get better at this. Like, I love this. I loved everything about it. I loved how hard it was. I loved how challenging it was. I loved the technique that was needed that I was unaware of. I love the camaraderie of people. And I was like, yeah, this is everything that I love all in one. So, and then from there, it just kind of exploded.
Yeah, and all the coaches that I talk to and all the people that I talk to, it's funny. It's I think a lot of us got into this the same way. We're like, no, let me just try this thing out. Well, I don't even know what it is. You get your ass kicked, and then you're like, I can
Do
do
it
way better
again.
than yeah. And I think you just get bit by that bug, and it's addicting and fun and contagious and all that good stuff. So
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
just looking at your history, you had a lot of success, early on. So it looked like you did figure out all these crazy things and the technique, and which led to some early success for you.
Yeah. We in 2012, um I opened up my own facility in New Jersey, and it was basically obstacle related. We built a bunch of obstacles out in the field, and we had an inside strength and conditioning program that I designed, and it was geared for weekend warriors, and just place to come and be able to learn be able to work on some of the technique of things. But I was challenged by some of the obstacles, and I knew I just had to get better at it. So I just was like, literally every day, it was just like one of those constant things of just improving cardio, improving strength. I have a gymnastics background, so that part of it, like monkey bars and things like that, that was a little bit easier. I was a little bit more connected with my body that way.
Hmm.
But just really getting after it and just having a mindset of I have to conquer this next obstacle.
Hmm.
Like, I'd pick an obstacle that I really want to get good at and then just like really work on it and work on it. And yeah, I mean, I was really fortunate. I raced so much in 2015 and 2016. It was crazy. I think we were gone 3 weekends out of the month racing somewhere. So it was crazy, and at that time, that's when I got my son into it. So we would race together. So we would go and travel literally everywhere from Vermont to the Carolinas to out west. I mean, we were everywhere. We were flying, we
Awesome.
were driving, we were just like, yes, it's another race weekend. Let's go.
That's all. So how old is your son?
Now how old is my youngest? Oh my Lord. He is 26. He'll be 26
Okay.
this year.
Awesome. Awesome. So how old was he when he got into it then? So in a teenager?
Yes, yeah,
Awesome.
real young. When he started high school, I guess is when we kind of like started focusing in on, hey, you need to come. I mean, I was in the gym industry, so it was like, hey, you need to come to the gym. You need to start like, working out and putting it all together. He was always very athletic in nature. So I look back and it's just so funny to see how far he's come. And he was a wrestler. So I have a big thing about mindset with wrestlers. They, and not that I'm biased to the sport, but maybe I am. They just have a mindset for success. And I think it helps them in every area of life. But I also think that set him up to do so well at Spartan. So I mean, last year is like doesn't count. So 2019, he was top 10 Spartan Stadium racers.
Nice. Awesome.
Yeah.
Really cool. I know my son's he's 9 now, and I'm hoping he's done a couple of the kids races, but it'll be awesome to be able to actually run a full race with him. But hopefully we can get the kids back out there and racing
Yeah.
again soon. Um, so I want you to tell a little bit about your story. So we had early success, and then you were involved in a car accident, and things changed.
Yeah. 2016 was like the best year of my racing life or my life in general. Just went from coining, going to Tahoe, um, first first podium spot when they still had masters at that point.
Hmm.
It was just an all around great year. I had several races that completed with no obstacle failure.
Hmm.
It was just awesome all around. That feeling of just like wow, I feel invincible kind of thing. And that my son also qualified for championships that year. So we were the first mother son team to actually qualify for championships, which was cool.
That's awesome.
And then I was like, all right, 2017 is going to be even better. Like I want so much more, so much more. And in February of 2017, I was in a car accident and I needed surgery on my foot. They had to put plate and screws in my metacuneiform joint. So basically it kind of prevents mobility in that joint, and have a tendon reattached from my big toe. And had some knee issue with that too. I had to have follow-up knee surgery for my meniscus because it not only tore, but it created a parameniscus cyst. So that was really painful. So they had to go in and clean that out. Um, that was February. I had the accident. March, I did Greek Peak with before knowing exactly what was wrong with my foot. I knew it was like killing me and I couldn't do anything with it. But I
Mhm.
was like, no, I can get through this. I can get through this.
Mhm.
And then some follow-up visits was like, yeah, no, you have some like really big issues that need to be worked on. So July is when I had foot surgery, and then I spent a year learning how to run again.
That's yeah, and that's I mean it's crazy that you had all of that yet still went out there. Were you able to get through that race at Greek Peak and
I
finish?
did. The Greek Peak was with my crew
Okay.
from my gym, so it was just an open race. So we were just having fun going through it. So it didn't require a lot, but like every step was painful. Like it was
Mhm.
really painful. At one point, my son was carrying me a little bit. I was just like, I can't walk anymore.
Yeah, yeah,
So
absolutely.
it was bad, but the recovery process was long. It was way longer than I anticipated, even though like you're told everything up front, you know.
Hmm.
Went to a great doctor and um he was very upfront about it, but I was like, okay, no, not me. You know,
Hmm.
I can do this quicker. I can be back better. But it was a very, very long process.
Yeah.
And I got to give a shout out to Draper Training. He was my running coach during that time period to get me back. And I needed every bit of help because it was really taxing physically and mentally.
Oh, I can only imagine. That's such a tough thing. So going in, they tell you, I'm the same way. You tell me 6 months, I'll do it in three.
Right.
Um, at least up here, I will say that, and that's probably 7 or 8 months it'll take. Um, so all in all, how long did that recovery process take where you felt like you were okay, I'm ready to get back to doing some things?
I mean, I wanted to be back the next day. I mean, well, no, I shouldn't say that because I was in a cast for several months
Yeah.
and it was very painful. Um, Foot surgery is painful. Like I didn't realize just how sensitive your foot can really be. It
Hmm.
was painful. Um, but I guess so. July was my foot surgery. October was when I had my knee cleaned out. That was a quick rebound because I came out I had it done on a Friday, and on a Monday, I was on a bike, and that was
Okay.
great. That was a
Cool.
great feeling, and that was right after I had my cast taken off. And then you just start the walking process, and by December, I thought I was like, "Wow, I'm walking. This is great. I look great." And then you get somebody that comes up to you that hasn't seen you in a while, and they're like, "Oh, what happened? You're limping." I'm like,
Hmm.
God.
Hmm. Yeah.
So to go from that to eliminating a limb to just even doing simple things like walking lunges and balancing out the strength because I lost so much strength in one side, and just creating that balance once again was just grueling because it's like, okay, I'm going back to basics when I was here, and now I got to start here. And then you have all those thoughts in your head. Okay, well, you know what, I'm getting too old for this. Maybe I should just like forget about it. Am I ever really going to get back? Am I ever going to do this again? You have all those thoughts that go through your head like, this is so hard and I could be doing other things and blah, blah, blah.
Hmm.
So,
Well, this is something that I want to talk really about both sides of this because on this show we talk a lot about the physical side, right? What can we do for training and running and obstacles and all that good stuff. But we often skip over the mental impact of a lot of different things of life, of injury, whatever it might be. But this can control so much of what we do, how we respond, how we recover. So I'd love to get your impact or your advice or just kind of your thoughts on this idea because it sounds like you had to deal with a few different things. Like one is, am I ever going to get back? Is it worth it? Will I be back there? Or am I totally done with racing and training and being part of who I am? So I just love to get your uh what kind of was going through your head through this whole process.
um, after like the little pity party,
Hmm.
Then I just kind of got mad and I was like, you know what? I go out on my own terms. I'm not going to be stopped when I don't want to be stopped. Like, like I have goals and I need to come back from this. Like I can't have this be the end. Like this is not my choice. So, what do I have to do to change that? And I think that was huge for me because that was really the catalyst for everything else. It was, okay, I'm committed to not being stopped. So now what does that look like? And that's when I reached out to Chris Draper and like even coaches need coaches, accountability is somebody that can, always be there and say, hey, this is what you should be doing. How you feeling? Let's move forward, or don't worry about that, or let's get past this, or I need you to push harder. That little extra voice besides your own is really important. And between that and then just I have a no quit attitude. Like I wanted to come back. I wanted to prove something. I wanted to prove that I wasn't going to be stopped by quote unquote an obstacle, which was surgery.
Hmm.
So, I told I told Chris Draper and I was just like, I want to come back August of 2018 and I want a podium spot in my age group because now they didn't have masters anymore. So it's like I want an age group podium. So he's like, okay, let's do it. And I was like, all right. And it was just staying the course. It's you look at social media and everybody posts all these great videos of big accomplishments, right? Like either crazy things that they're doing in training or, great feats that they've accomplished or distances that they've run. But you very rarely see the everyday, boring, this is so hard to get through stuff, and like I spent a half an hour every day just doing mobility exercises for my hip and my ankle. There's nothing glorious in that. Nobody really wants to see that. Unless you're coming at and unless you're in a rehab situation. But those are the things that matter. Those are the things that kind of get you to where you want to be. It's not the end glorious moment is really just a small speck of everything that's come before it, of the everyday grind, the everyday I got to push myself, the everyday of no, I'm not motivated to do this. This is a goal. This is what I want, and I don't always have to feel motivated. Does
Hmm.
that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, motivation is kind of, I don't want to say myth, but it's misleading where if you're saying I'm not motivated, it's like, well, you're motivated to do something. It may be motivated to sit on the couch and feel bad about yourself, but you're motivated to do that. So you're in control what you're motivated for. But if we're relying on motivation to get through a workout or to push ourselves harder, that's when you're getting in trouble because that's not always going to be there. And it's probably rarely going to be there. Every once in a while, you might be like, I'm super motivated today and I'm going to go. But a lot of times it's like, I'm not. And if I
Yeah,
was
that's
relying on that, I'm screwed.
that's day one with anyone. Like I'm super
Yeah.
motivated. I have this goal and I'm motivated. Whatever you tell me to do, I see this with my clients all the time. It's super motivation in the beginning, which is awesome. But beyond that, which is why, like I always ask them, why are you motivated? Why do you want to do this? It's great that you want to do it, but why? Because inevitably by week 2, 3, 4, it's always going to come down to some excuse of why they can't train, or I'm not feeling it, or blah blah blah. And then, okay, do you remember why you wanted to do this in the first place?
Hmm.
What was your reasoning in the first place? And I had many of those days in my own training where it was like, okay, why am I doing this? I'm doing this because I set myself a goal, and maybe it was even just as simple as proving to my kids that, you know, obstacles come in life and it's how you handle them and how you overcome them. Just a simple legacy of that, of, pushing through no matter what you face in life.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, kind of like you're saying, I want to get back on the podium and I have clients that'll come to me and they want to get on the podium and those are great goals. But like you said, that's an awesome goal, and we can definitely work on it. But do you understand there is a little bit of a cost to that? There's a sacrifice you have to make. You're going to be doing things you don't want to do. You're going to be uncomfortable. You know, we see the glory of standing on that podium, which is an awesome accomplishment. But you don't see all the crap you have to deal with and all the work you have to put in and all that. So that's for some people, they're like, it's not worth it. And that's okay. Like, admit it now before you just try and kill yourself with all these things you don't want to do. Or it's like, no, that's what I want. And now I'm ready for it. So
Right.
again, not motivation, just telling yourself this is how it is.
Right.
So it sounds like trying to help others out there, because I think we may not have an injury. I think a lot of people are probably overcoming injuries at some point, but it could be a car accident, it could be a training related injury, or it could be 2020 where we were all just sidelined for, the obvious reasons. So we all are dealing with not just the physical side, but the mental side of like, screw it, I can do something else, or I don't want to go back, or whatever it might be. But it sounds like some of the biggest things that got you through the struggles you were dealing with were, one, you asked for help. And I think that's a great first step, right? That a lot of people just aren't willing to do, whether it's a coach, a friend, somebody, that you can at least, you had this idea, you passed it on to them and they said, let's do it. And now it's like, you just made a commitment, you have to follow through, because nobody wants to break a commitment once they've made it.
Right. And I had actually, right after, when I was still in a cast, I had a good friend, Mac, who literally showed up at my door and was like, we're going to the gym. And, we go down to the gym and, like, you can still work out, you can still do something, maybe you can't run and maybe you can't do this, but literally I was on the rower with my foot on one of those gliders out to the side and like just working it that way. It's like, you can make things happen. You can still do something, and something is always better than nothing. So it's, getting your head in the right space, I think, is important. And, one of the things that I always try to do with my clients is build up a belief system in themselves. And I think so many people lack that. So many people, either from years of being told they couldn't do it, or a self-belief that they're unable to accomplish whatever, building that confidence up so that they can actually believe in themselves enough to put in the work. Because if you can believe in yourself, I can teach you to do anything, pretty much. You just have to believe that you can do it. And when you're coming in with an attitude of, I suck, I'm not good, I'll never be able to do that. You probably will never be able to do that. But if you come to an attitude like, I really want to be able to do that, and I know I can someday with the right training, then yeah, let's work.
Absolutely.
You can make it happen.
Yeah. And can you imagine if you all day you were walking around and there was a person next to you just saying, you can't do that. You can't, no matter what it was, like, why are you even doing this? You can't bother. And it's like, how ridiculous that would be if somebody just walked around doing that. But if you think about it, how many times do people just tell themselves, I can't do that, or I'm not going to do this, or it's too hard, or whatever. And that's draining. Like that's the motivation, like zapper. If any motivation you did have, it'll easily go away when you just have that negative self-talk. And it's a difficult thing to change. But I think I always say step one is just be aware. Be aware when you are telling yourself something negative, right? And it's hard. It's hard to be positive all the time. But if you can't start with that, it's a long road.
And I think what you say to yourself is probably some of the most important words, more than anyone else's. It comes, you have to start with self-love. You have to wake up in the morning and look in the mirror and love who you see. You might want to change things. You might want to, like, look different or change up something, but you have to love yourself, because without that, you're just going to constantly be feeding negative thoughts into yourself, and you'll never accomplish anything.
Yeah.
Start with that self-love, that self-belief, and then, like you said, reaching out to people to help, coaches, friends, to help you along the way. And that's what I love about Spartan, is that it is such a community-based family, really. You know, there's
Hmm.
always people, strangers will help you get through, you know, it's great.
Absolutely.
So it's a great community to be part of.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, yeah, it's two big things that I think are really helpful for people once they master them is that idea behind that positive self-talk. Just practice that daily. It's just like anything, it's a skill. It's a training for an obstacle. It's just be mindful of it, do it when you can. And surrounding yourselves in a positive environment with, you have that person that shows up at your door to get you there because some days it's hard, and it's hard to talk yourself into it, but you make a commitment, you have somebody else there with you checking in on you even, can go a long way.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
There's you're talking about like the thoughts in your head. It reminded me of a book, Untethered Soul. I can't remember who wrote it, but it's this kind of trippy book. It's basically this idea that this person inside your head is not you, but that they'll affect everything you do. And once you realize that it's just words, it's just voice, but it's not who you are. And I'm probably not explaining this very well. That's why it's a very deep book, but it's all about this idea of being in control of those thoughts. So if anybody wants to go down that rabbit hole, that's Untethered Soul, which is an interesting read.
I'll have to read
So
that one. I haven't read that
yeah,
one. But I
yeah,
think, and that just points out something else too, is like what you fill your mind with, like what you read, what do I think that mental preparation, even in that regard, is really important. That, I mean, there's a lot of stuff out there, but and 2020 actually was a great year to read.
yeah.
I read so much in 2020.
I know. So my wife read a lot of like murder books and stuff like that. So I probably should be a little worried. But
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, Gary Bishop, Tim Grover, there's another book, Unstoppable. I forget who wrote that. There's so many good mental prep books just to
yeah,
kind of, really get you out of your own head or
yeah,
get you into your head in the right way.
absolutely. So, I want to make sure we kind of fast forward. So you got through all of this. You had a rough road. You had help. You had the mindset. And then, so what happened when you got back to racing?
First race, West Point, podium spot, super excited. And then what was my race after that? I did, must have been Long Island. I went up to Long Island and podium there too,
Awesome.
which was awesome. So my first two races back were both podium spots, and that made everything worth it. That made
Absolutely.
everything worth it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, I mean, don't count me out yet. I'm still coming back.
Absolutely, I know. And then we hit another little road bump, but it's the same thing, right? It's, hey,
Yeah.
when we're back, we're gonna attack it and go from there. Um, okay, so I like asking this questions. You're just gonna fill in the blank for me.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, not hard. Don't worry. If if everyone just did blank, they would see incredible gains in their training.
Okay, so the first thought that came into my mind was deadlifts, and I'm sorry because that's just my.
Hey, it's a great
um,
exercise.
I think it's underused, and yeah, it is. If everyone just did blank, they would see incredible. If, after
Improvements.
2020, I'd say if everyone just moved more.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
seriously, I think our movement has like decreased so much. It's ridiculous.
Oh, I totally agree. And I think kind of like what you're saying before, where you were here in 2019, you're down here in 2020. Remember, like that's a bridge you're trying to cross. You have to build back up. You're not, if you weren't consistently doing things, don't expect to be where you left off. And that's
Right.
okay. Just be ready
Be
for it.
ready for it. Right.
Yeah. All right. So, what is your favorite obstacle?
Hmm. Favorite one. I got to give this a thought. Probably Twister.
That's a good one.
Yeah, probably Twister because it's a little bit harder than most, and it really requires a good, I mean, there's multiple ways of doing it, but it really requires like that mind body connection to be able to
Hmm.
like move the body in the right, because you have that, coming down on one side. You got to be able to like really kind of connect. So
Yeah.
yeah, that has to be one of my favorites.
All right. Awesome. How about least?
Definitely not the spear throw.
Well, I was gonna say, what about least favorite? So is it spear throw?
um I'm gonna, I don't know, because I do like the spear throw,
It's
but
just nerve wracking.
it just is, and it's so technique based, and if you go in with too high of a heart rate, it just messes things up. And it's that fine balance. But yeah, probably that one, because you have less control over it.
Awesome. And how about your favorite race venue?
Tahoe, hands down.
Awesome. Cool.
Yeah,
I, this year, assuming it happens, is going to be the first time I'm actually going to make it out there. So I'm excited for that one.
it's gorgeous. It's The terrain is great. And when we were there, that was the year, and I never knew I never even had this as a thought of possibility in my head. But it was so windy on the second day that the dunk wall fell over. And I was just like, I didn't even think that could happen. Like, just from a structural perspective on how,
Yeah.
like, how it's based out, I was like,
Yeah.
I never even thought going underneath the dunk wall that maybe this could fall on me. Thankfully, nobody was in the water at the time, but
I
that's
know,
how windy
seriously.
it was. It
Wow.
was so windy.
So definitely have that to look forward to.
Yeah, you're gonna love it. You're gonna love
Yeah.
it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on. If anybody wants to learn more about you or kind of check out what you're doing, where would be some good places they can go check out?
Instagram, I'm always posting there, and that's rose.dye, DEY. And website is mostly, I do a lot of nutrition coaching, and that's It's a Lifestyle. Um, so yeah, if anyone's interested in nutrition coaching, I definitely approach that from a holistic perspective. No quick fad kind of things, just whole food, smart fuel. Food is fuel.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'll put the links as usual to both of those in the show notes so people can check that out and learn more and follow what you're doing. So, again, thank you so much for joining. Looking forward to hopefully seeing you out on a course maybe one day.
Absolutely, that'll be great.